Well, stay tuned for, I think, a show that's going to provide you with resources that you're going to love. You know, I was in Wyoming and I researched organ meats in the American Indians, and I learned that these were critical to their health, stamina, immune system, everything. And I came across a problem. Most of them are contaminated. Well, you're going to learn more about that on the show, and even about some of these methylation questions and how to get the proper methylation into our cells, all on this show. And I interview Autumn Smith, who you're going to find fascinating. She is famous in the fitness move, but I did embarrass myself a little because I didn't know all the people she was talking about. So I do see my little embarrassment, and I dated myself, frankly. All right, but look, this is a great show, and you're going to see some products too that I fell in love with. That she has poured her heart out into her and her family. So stay tuned. You're going to love this Cell TV, and you're going to be equipped with some great resources, because what I hear all the time is, it's so hard. I need things. I need easy things. Okay, you're going to get that in this episode and more. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cellular Healing TV. I'm Ashley Smith, and today you're going to hear all about the epidemic of nutrient deficiency and why high-quality food and supplements enable you to avoid major roadblocks in your health. We're here today with a special guest. Her name is Autumn Smith, and like so many people, she has an amazing story of her own, which led her to become the co-founder of two amazing companies, Paleovalley and Wild Pastures, which both support small farms and sustainable agriculture, which is so important. Autumn is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and is wildly passionate about wellness. So we are going to learn a lot from her today. You can read more in our show notes, and we will also link to her products, which I must say my family is completely obsessed with your meat sticks. They're so good. So let's get started and welcome Autumn Smith and, of course, Dr. Pompa to the show. So welcome.
Thanks, Autumn, and thanks for being here. Gosh, I'm obsessed, with those meat sticks. Eating healthy and traveling. People always say, "How do you do it?" Right? It's like, your company, man, it makes it a lot easier. I'll tell you what else I'm obsessed with, which we'll get into, is you have some incredibly dense nutrient products. I'm a big fan of desiccated liver and organ meat, and it's incredible for bringing sick people back to health. Here's the problem. You can't get good, clean stuff. And when I used your stuff, I fell in love with your whole company because of what you all do. So big fan here. That's why you're here. So we're going to turn everyone on to you.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, and that always makes my day, hearing our products are valuable for you.
No doubt about it. You put your heart and soul into them, and there's a reason for that, because like me, pain to purpose for you. And we said you have a great story. You have to tell about, I said this in the beginning. Okay, great. Many of us have a story. We do. That's why we're passionate about this stuff, right? And I'm never going to go back. So I do everything, right, to make sure of that. And I have a fear of ever getting sick again. I'm sure you do as well. But how many of us enter the food business? There's a reason for that. You'll tell us too. I have to say, I did say, I like your lemons. That was the first thing I said. You looked at me like, is it being inappropriate? No, there's lemons behind you. Anyway, so I like your lemons.
It was a good opening line. I had to remind it's awesome.
Anyway, I'm sure lemons have very little to do with your actual product. They just look good. But anyways, tell us your story. Tell us your whole story.
Okay, well, like you said, pain to purpose. That's exactly what happened with me. I was basically sick. I had irritable bowel syndrome, which, as you know, your listeners probably know, it's a wastebasket diagnosis. It's basically like, we don't really know what's wrong. We know that I look bloated and pregnant after meals, and that sometimes I wake up in pain in the middle of the night, and no one had any solutions for me. So I kind of learned to live like right here. Like I wasn't ever feeling great until I met my husband, and I was a fitness trainer for Tracy Anderson at the time, and I looked super fit, but then at night I literally looked pregnant. And he was like, woman, this isn't good enough. Well, why are you accepting this?
SIBO and gut inflammation.
Exactly. And a lot of processed foods. And like, I thought I had it all figured out because I looked fit, but I was definitely not well. And so he's like, let's try this, let's adopt a whole foods diet. This was in 2009. He got on the internet and found some people using it. This was way back in the day. And I was reticent, but I did it anyway. And lo and behold, 30 days after, my digestive issues were pretty much gone. And so I was blown away because here I was, someone who thought I was fit and well. And then working for Tracy Anderson, I went on a world tour. She sent me around the world and I had to try and maintain.
Okay, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know who Tracy Anderson is.
Ooh, let me tell you, because if anyone hasn't heard of her, you need to Google her right now. So she is like the most genius celebrity fitness trainer in the whole entire world, responsible for the bodies of...
Like, where would I see her? What do I know her from?
She is everywhere. I feel like popular media. She's trained Jennifer Lopez. She trains Shakira. She trains Molly Sims, Ashley Green. I mean, all the big names. She originally started out with Madonna. And that's kind of where she got her break.
It's the only name I know so far, right there, Madonna. You know what I just did, though? Autumn, I just dated myself. Do you understand? Like, you're talking about all these hip people. It's like how many people? And I'm like, huh? Okay, so anyway.
Madonna. Anyway, she's a celebrity fitness trainer. I was working for her. And so I literally for 7 months traveled around the world and then had to try and figure out how do I make a paleo diet work when sometimes I'm in 2 countries in a day.
Too. You were famous too, which I knew that. I knew you were famous.
Definitely famous. Definitely famous. No.
I'm embarrassing you. But that is true, though. So go ahead.
I owe it all to Tracy Anderson. She's the genius. But yeah, so I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I was eating apples and pistachios for like 7 months and I couldn't handle it any longer. So when I got home from tour, I had this kind of like moment of enlightenment, like, I love Tracy Anderson and what she's doing. That's her thing. My story was food changed my life. And so I went back to school, got a master's in holistic nutrition. And my husband and I decided people just need a way to do this, to feel vibrant, but not move to a farm, grow all their own food, not make all their own meat sticks. So we decided to make them for people. That was our goal.
Who does that? I'm serious. I mean, who does that? Like, you just don't enter into that arena. You know what, Shark Tank guy, Kevin,
Kevin Leary.
He's so wonderful, right? You know what he would say to you? They're going to crush you like the cockroach you are, meaning big food is going to come in and crush you. Why are you getting into that business? He would criticize you for it. However, with that said, you found a niche based on a passion, and you're doing very well with this. So Kevin, you're wrong on that. You're wrong.
Kevin, and you will be more wrong the longer time goes on and the more educated people become. Because honestly, the reason like our beef sticks are great is because we ferment them rather than using these like really low quality preservatives that actually contain hydrogenated oil. Yeah. Pretty much in every beef stick. And so manufacturers don't want to do it. We had to make 200 phone calls to find one person willing to ferment our sticks because it's not lucrative. And so, but this is a passion project. This isn't something we intend on selling. This is because these foods are going to feed my child and for the rest of his life. And so we're not here to make money, and we're not here to like sell.
My son ate all mine, by the way. So yeah, you're going to have to send me other ones. So, and I love them though. They were so easy to travel with. So.
Oh, thank you. And I love the thing I think most people love, or they tell me they love, is that they have a little snap and they're a little more moist and they're not like drying out or like making your jaw hurt because they're not really jerky. They're just, they're different, like a sausage.
Yeah. No, they're good. Okay. So, here's one of the things that people have to understand, right? So they go into Whole Foods, they go into a health food store, and I'm not picking on any, I'm just talking generally here, but they go in and most of the products still aren't 100% grass fed and finished, right? And so it's very difficult because people, otherwise you wouldn't have created a company. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, your products are special in multiple ways and you can expand on it, but it's still very difficult to get quality meat. And I have to say, getting quality grass-fed meat is a way that can take very sick people and bring them back to health. But getting that quality meat is part of that process. If that is not, if that's not happening, we're not going to get them to health. That's how important this subject is.
Yeah. That is so true. And that is just the mission behind our company is basically we think grass-fed meat is important for 3 reasons. Obviously the health benefits, higher levels of antioxidants, a better fatty acid profile, all the things. Also animal welfare, guys, right? If you see these pictures, pigs in crates, cows in feedlots, it's not pretty. And the last thing is there's new research to suggest that a certain type of grass-fed operation, utilizing rotational grazing practices, okay? That kind sequesters carbon, it builds topsoil. It is an absolute solution to the environmental degradation and the lack of minerals in our soil content. But that isn't all grass-fed beef. So there's 2 problems. Grass-fed is not regulated. If you do see 100% grass-fed and finished, that has a little more structure behind it. That you can usually trust. But if you just see grass-fed, usually it's grass-fed for the first part of its life, which all cows are, and then it's grain finished, which changes the fatty acid profile. And again, we have a host of environmental concerns with that type of beef. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there's so many deceptive labels out there. Grass-fed is one of them. So what you want to do is make sure, again, 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, and that you're using farmers and ranchers who are utilizing rotational grazing practices. And that isn't something, there's like a ecological outcome verified certification that the Savory Institute's doing now that you can look for. And there's also third party humane treatment of animal testing. But yeah, you got to get all 3 of those variables, and grass-fed is not necessarily always grass-fed. It's really sad.
Yeah, so finding the right product's hard, and then convenience becomes the other issue, right? You solve both of those. When I was in Africa, I watched everyone walking around with dried meat, not just in the bush, by the way. When I was in literally in the city portion when I flew into Zimbabwe, Harare, and I saw the same thing. People like they're dry. Even in the airport, it was a big deal. So it but it's the perfect snack. Here's the problem in this country, is that they all have crap ingredients in them. I mean, even when they say organic ingredients, when you look and you dig, I don't like the ingredients. So you solve that problem too.
Yes, and that's why we found out, because I had my husband, when I was in France on tour, bring over grass-fed beef sticks. I was like, yeah, these are healthy. This is going to help me. But I started to not feel well again, and I couldn't figure it out. So I found out that I did a little Sherlock Holmesing, and I found this ingredient called citric acid. So it just says citric acid on the label. But what it is it's actually made from GMO corn, then coated in hydrogenated oil, which we all know, absolutely toxic. And then they melt this into the beef stick, and that's how they preserve it. It drops the pH. It's the industry standard. So that's one ingredient. Then, of course, in other crazy beef sticks, you'll have things like preservatives like BHA, BHT, BVO, brominated vegetable oil, and natural flavorings, which contain a host of chemicals. You have to be really, really careful, and that's why ours just contain grass-fed and finished beef from farmers who use rotational grazing practices, who raise their animals humanely, and organic spices.
Well, and I want to point out, because people think people like us, GMO, big deal a little bit, who cares, this, that. But it is a big deal, because most people have leaky gut. They are reacting to foods. They're trying to solve it. They're running expensive tests to tell them what foods to stay away from. That's not how you fix your gut. You stay away from the things like the GMO that create the leaky gut, and those like the citric acid. It's those hidden darn sources that will keep your gut inflamed and open and reacting despite your best efforts trying to stay away from every food. You stay away from these foods, a month or 2 later, now you're intolerant to these foods. You don't win the game by food avoidance. And I'm not saying there's not a time to avoid certain foods, but the point is you win the game by choosing the right ingredients, but you have to sleuth it out. And, you have to find those trusted companies. Another big deal. I mean, obviously you have the word paleo in the name, Paleovalley, right? When I dug into research on the American Indians, and I actually traveled up to Wyoming, and I went into museums, and I was digging and doing a project on this. One of the things I found out was that the organ meat was the key part of their diet. And then I kept digging more because that struck me. And I realized that organ meat was so important in their diet in the winter months that it was really, attributed to their strength, their vitality, their immune strength, what got them through hard winters. And then I started digging more into organ meat. And I realized this is a vital, vital component. Here's the problem. I don't like organ meat. I don't. I love grass-fed meat, okay? But I don't like liver. My uncle made me eat it back in the day, and I grossed out on it, okay? Now, I'm sure if it's prepared better, there's ways to do it. And y'all are so if you had my liver, you'd love it. Okay. But the fact is that, I started searching for desiccated liver and liver, organ type of products, knowing the health of them. And not just for me, but for a lot of my clients who are trying to get their lives back. I couldn't find good product. And that's when I don't remember, it might have been Ashley, it might have been someone else, but turned me on to your products, and I've fallen in love with your products. So talk about some of those.
Oh, yes. So our grass-fed organ complex is one of my favorite things in the world, because when I got pregnant, I decided, I got very serious about making sure that all my nutrient bases were covered. So I had liver for the first time. I choked it down. I felt amazing. And I was like, wow, what is this food I've been missing? But then I tried soaking it in coconut milk. I tried making liver pate. And I
didn't like it either.
Oh no. And I tried freezing it into little balls, and then I would just toss it in the bag, trying to miss my taste buds, and then I'd have liver burps. Terrible. So it was when I was pregnant that my husband was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to, take our farmers. We already have these connections. We're going to use the whole animal, and we're going to just put it into capsules, grass-fed, grass-finished, freeze-dried to preserve their fragile nutrient content, no weird fillers. And then that's what we did. And I've been taking 8 every day since. My hair's never been longer. I am very, very high energy, if you can't tell. So, yeah.
So share with our audience why, right? I mean, we both learned a lot, to not only maintain health, right? Skin, hair, organs, just immune system, muscle, joints, organs are key, right? I mean, the Indians and other cultures, like I said, I just happened to study the American Indian, but eating the whole animal was this balance and magic it was very important to not just their culture, but other Indian cultures. Talk about what you learned about why these organs are so vital.
Yeah, it's amazing. And animals in the wild, they eat them preferentially. It's because they're nature's multivitamins. When you break it down, the levels of B12 are the highest in any food source, with vitamin A and vitamin B12. And most Americans are nutrient deficient.
That's right.
And all the other vitamins, riboflavin, B1, B5, B6, iron, selenium, zinc, all the minerals, all the things that so many of us are missing out on are concentrated in huge doses, doses that are kind of therapeutic for us because most of us are deprived. They even did this study. This is my favorite study about organ meats, because athletes have actually been using them for centuries. It's kind of like their secret weapon.
Yeah.
They put little mice into this drum of water after they fed them either a normal diet plus B vitamins, or a normal diet plus liver. And then they basically, it's so cruel, but then they see how long they can swim. Okay. So with the normal diet, it was 13 minutes. With the B vitamins, it was 14 minutes. And with the liver, it was 70 minutes, 87 minutes, 90 minutes. And then they just stopped the experiment because at 2 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 2 hours, most of them were still swimming. So that's what liver can do for you. It literally makes me do the happy dance, and it contains so many of the nutrients that we're missing, but in a bioavailable form, in a food form, your body recognizes it. It's beautiful.
Well, I mean, they're so nutrient dense, and part of the problem is they become toxic dense, right? So when you eat the wrong organ tissue from a 100% grass-fed meat. Like you said, pasture, like where they literally rotation is critical because they stomp down literally the grass and it creates a fertilization. So the grass they're eating is more nutrient dense when it's like literally they're done the correct way. But anyways, so the organs can be very toxic or very nutritious. That's the problem and the benefit.
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, well, you don't want to eat the liver because it's storing everything. But as maybe your listeners are aware, it's actually, it can be a filter. It converts things. But if you are eating a toxic animal, yeah, you're going to have to worry about
because
something.
a healthy liver is not, it doesn't hold toxins, so, but you know what I mean? That's a misnomer, right? It converts things, right? But an unhealthy animal, a grain-fed animal, it has fatty liver like a human, and therefore does hold toxins, and therefore is not good. Matter of fact, I would argue just like a human, unhealthy humans have fatty organs, not just fatty liver. They have a fatty pancreas, a fatty heart, and therefore so do the animals. So it either can be this food that transforms your health or a food that, is really toxic. So therefore sourcing the right product is the key, no doubt. So how many do you take a day? Do you take it every day?
I take 8 a day. And the reason for that is if you take 4, that's the recommended serving on our bottle. That's about 1.25 ounces of organ meats. We're looking at, between 3 and 5 ounces a week is ideal, or at least according to the Weston A. Price Foundation. So I double that because I'm not going to eat them. I'm never going to develop a taste for them. I stopped trying.
One of the things that I would say I recently learned just clinically was people that have sensitivities to certain B vitamins. People hear the MTHFR and, are they methylated, overmethylated, undermethylated? When you're dealing with these organ products like that, it really doesn't matter. They tolerate them. They seem to get the B vitamins without, I'm not reacting. There's a reason for that. I don't know. Scientifically, we don't know the answer, but I'll give you my theory. My theory is that there's so many other factors, cofactors, balance in a natural product that creates a proper absorption, of the vitamins, that you don't run into these under and over methylation issues that you would just, and there's a time and a place for, giving someone certain active ingredients, but a balanced food like an organ product, I think is a massive help, especially very sick and challenged people.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you say that. And that is the through line in our company is we believe there's a synergy in foods that man can't recreate in a lab. Right. Like you said, time and a place. But if you're doing preventative daily maintenance, we like to stick to food because like you said, and another thing I've noticed it's particularly adept at is helping people raise their iron levels. And I attribute that there isn't like a huge amount of iron in the product, but it has other vitamins like vitamin A. You're going to increase its absorption. And it seems to be particularly effective for women in that regard. Yeah. At least that's what we've
heard. I couldn't agree more. And here's another, my people, they're big fasters, right? When you look at some of the studies on these products, the organ products, they raise stem cells. They naturally help the production and the vitality of your own stem cells. So meaning post-fast, in an eating state, there is not much better than some of these organ products. Matter of fact, I created a product called Cell Renew, which helps stem cell, raise your own stem cells. And some of these same ingredients, you have deer antler velvet, which has all these growth factors, which are getting some of the same factors in a lot of these organ tissues. So pretty interesting.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. If I can ask you, how do you use it? I'm just kind of interested.
Yeah. So I always use it like when I intermittent fast daily, right? So for example, I'll fast through the day, and let's say my first meal is like 3 or 4 o'clock, which I haven't eaten, but I like starting my meal with it because because here's the thing, you're creating autophagy when you're fasting. Your body's getting rid of the bad cells. The moment you start eating, you're stimulating stem cell production, and you can do that every day. So you want to do it with a good quality product like that has the ability to jumpstart your stem cell reaction. So even when I break a fast, so I just completed a fast for 5 days. So, these types of products are the perfect products to break a fast with after a few days. So anyway, that's a good way to use it. So what are some of the other products that you have that you can show us?
Okay, I want to show you. Our other one is the Essential C complex. So vitamin C has been really, really helpful for me. I have a history of mood issues. For some reason, when I take a little bit more than, not a little bit more, a few grams a day, I feel great. But what I noticed, or what I read, is that most of it's derived from GMO corn. And again, I know people, there's a time and a place for ascorbic acid in high dose, intravenous use, cancer, for sure. But again, when it comes to everyday use, we took acerola cherry that's unripe, has 120 times more vitamin C than an orange, and then amla berry and camu berry, just the world's most potent sources of natural vitamin C. And then we put it into capsules, no fillers, so that if people want that synergy, that entire vitamin C complex, because ascorbic acid is just the outer antioxidant shell. Like I said, there can be benefits, but I've actually heard practitioners say, I don't know if you've had this experience, they'll have people who are sensitive to corn break out from a traditional vitamin C supplement. So we created this, and I use a whole food vitamin C every single day.
Yeah, that's awesome. You also created
apple cider vinegar complex.
That's a huge product for the gut. I mean, people love apple cider vinegar. Why is this one different and better?
Why is this one different and better? Okay, so first of all, this one's different and better because we take apple cider vinegar and combine it with other amazing spices, turmeric and cinnamon and ginger. So all with benefits of their own. But I created this mostly because, not only is it good for the gut, it's also great for satiety. Some studies show you eat about 200 to 300 less calories when you take it. It also helps you absorb nutrients. It also helps with your blood sugar levels. So many different benefits. Some people don't like the taste, right? So I made this drink called Ignite Tea every morning that had apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, and ginger and turmeric in it. And that was awesome. People didn't want to do it. I have this Facebook group of wellness warriors, and they were just like, I don't have time to drag out all the spices and everything every day. So I put it into capsules. That's so awesome. They can just take it and avoid the potentially damaging effects to your enamel when you use apple cider vinegar on the regular, and not have to deal with the taste for some people, and just an easy way to make people's lives easy.
Well, I can tell you all those things are majorly anti-inflammatory for your gut. The ginger, the turmeric, the apple cider vinegar, they're major immune boosters naturally. They're also anti-pathogen in the gut. So, it helps create all of that balance that you need. So another great product. It seems like you focused in on some of like the really main key things that people need when they're trying to restore their health. Honestly, I mean, that's kind of where your niche has been.
Yeah, true. And I think that comes from, it was a long road for me. I wasn't like, I did the paleo diet thing and that helped a little bit, but then I also had parasites and all of these other things that I had to work out. I had suppressed levels of hydrochloric acid. So
that helps.
Yeah, I wasn't getting all of the nutrients. And so, we kind of designed our product line around how can we get the highest quality foods that are going to help people make this reclaiming of their health really easy. So
it's funny. I did the exact same thing with the detox world, right? It's like the products I created weren't like, oh, here's a great idea. It was, here's what I had to do to get my life back, right? And then it became not just me, thousands of others, and you just create products around it, right? So you're not trying to compete with what's in Whole Foods, right? It's like that's been done. Everyone's doing a fish oil, a probiotic, and a vitamin, It's like, and none of that is how we got our lives back. None of it. Right?
No. Yeah. No, and this is about like, how am I going to get and keep my son well, and my family and everybody else. So
So then you created Wild Paleo, because then it became, okay, what's on my dinner table, right? And then realizing it's harder to get meats at these health food stores that's really good. So tell us a little bit about Wild Paleo. Now, I know you're expanding this concept. You're just in small parts right now, but you're going to expand it, correct?
Yeah, so Wild Pastures was the result of me working with people one-on-one and saying, okay, guys, 100% grass-fed and finished beef, so important. They were just like, yeah, Autumn, but
it's really... I said Wild Paleo. Did I dyslexia that?
Wild Pastures, no worries.
Wild Pastures. That's dyslexia. This stuff just comes out, man. You know, I took a word from the other word and I went like this, and it's written down right here in front of me correctly, but my brain just does it. So anyways, wild pastures. Makes
We're
more
so
sense
not,
but
yeah.
wild pastures makes way more sense.
I know. I kind of liked what you had, but I was like, oh, I'll stick with wild pastures. No, but yeah, not offended here at all. But yeah, so what we did is, and then again, being in the grass-fed beef market, I learned about those flavors of grass-fed. Like, oh, there's some is not grain, is grain finished, and some farmers are using rotational grazing, some aren't. And if you continuously graze, yet grass feed, it can still ruin the environment. So when I became a mom, I was like, okay, this is cool, me having vibrant health and all, but like, how am I going to make my little guy's life better? Because we only had 60 years of topsoil left. And when we don't have topsoil, we don't have nutrients, we don't have food that has nutrients. So Wild Pastures was that effort to not only make grass-fed and finished meat available to everyone, no matter where you live, at wholesale prices, because that's our goal, is this needs to be affordable in order for this to be the mass movement. And so it's about 25% on average lower. And we deliver it to your door because I get it. I'm a mom, like we don't have time, like we want to make this super simple. And so that's what we did. Grass-fed, we connected with American farmers, these other boxes, and they're doing a good thing by sourcing them out of the country because it's, it's high quality meat. But what I think they're missing is stimulating this movement in America, because in America is where we need the soil to be regenerated. It's like America's microbiome. And so if we stick to these really strategic relationship with ranchers and farmers who are doing things the way we think is right, and create a movement around it, we can create the demand that will create the change in the environment. And that's what's going to happen. Right now, it's like 3 to 5% of the market is grass-fed and finished, but they're projecting in like 20 years, it'll be about 30. But we just had to make it readily available and help people wade through the deception in the meat industry.
Mom, I don't know how you do it all. When are you going to be able to deliver to Utah is my question. Everyone else
I think you're in our next zone, because our next stop is Arizona. And so then we will deliver everything in 2-day shipping from there. So really soon. Really soon.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. But by the way, folks, in the meantime, Ashley will put up Paleovalley. I know that Revelation Health has a 10% discount code on every product you mentioned. So I appreciate you doing that for us. No doubt about it. Yeah. Well, look, I know you're on a major mission, and I don't know how you have time to do it all. What else do you do? Do you do other? You're still like known for your workout. This has to be 100%. And how old are your kids, and how many do you have?
Oh yeah, no. Tracy Anderson, love her, but I had to say goodbye because we have several businesses, but I only have one boy, and then I just got my baby girl, but she's a dog yesterday, and her name is Charlie. So I have a fur baby and a little boy.
I have two. They're like babies too.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. And we keep a nice balance around the lifestyle, but we've got a great team. So I can't take credit for all this. I'm not the man behind the curtain. There's a lot of us working at this effort.
Oh, that's like me. I don't, thank God. It's like an amazing team. Otherwise we're not getting anything out. Well, you are on a mission. And so I thank you and your team for being on a mission. Honestly, you're doing it the right way. I try to, we as my team and myself try to source the best of the best, and it's all we bring on. So, and you made the cut by a long shot, actually. So, all right. Well, thank you, Autumn, for being on Cellular Healing TV. We appreciate it. Yeah.
It was such a pleasure and an honor, and I love your endorsement. It makes my day because we really, really respect everything that you're doing and your company. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. This episode was brought to you by CytoDetox. Please check it out at buycytonow.com. We'll be back next week and every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We truly appreciate your support. You can always find us at cellularhealing.tv, and please remember to spread the love by liking, subscribing, giving an iTunes review, and sharing the show with anyone you think may benefit from the information heard here. And as always, thanks for listening.